She going to jail. All that newborn baby. Boosie won't get to see that newborn baby till that baby be walking and talking. Boosie going to jail.
Things this case has stopped me from doing, traveling all across the world, making. So I just want to get it over with, and, you know, accept my guilty plea. I'm ready to get over it.
Anything you want to say to your fans?
Just say a prayer for them. I just need prayer. I don't need nothing else.
Well, Charleston White was celebrating you taking the plea deal. I think he even said he hopes you die in jail and stuff like that.
Yeah, I heard.
The biggest thing right now was that you actually accepted a plea deal for your federal gun case.
Yeah.
Now, how long have you been fighting this thing from the very, very beginning?
I've been fighting for probably 3 years now, probably.
3 years.
Welcome back. 3 years of dodging smoke, but this time Boosie might really be cornered. The feds turned up the heat, and his latest federal gun case has flipped his whole world upside down. Word spread fast that he could be facing a decade behind bars. And the second that news hit the internet, guess who popped out grinning like the devil himself? Charleston White. The loudest troll in hip-hop wasted no time hopping online and dancing like he just hit the lottery. He cracked jokes, threw shade, and flat out bragged that he'd been waiting for this moment. He didn't even hide it. Charleston said straight up he didn't care if Boosie ever walked free again. Cold? Definitely. But that's Charleston. He feeds off chaos. And this was his Super Bowl moment.
Going to jail. Oh, God. Oh, God is good. I keep telling y'all, street ain't got no God. God do not look after street. Boosie really thought he wasn't going to jail for that pistol. I knew he was going. She going to jail. All that newborn baby. Boosie won't get to see that newborn baby till that baby be walking and talking. Boosie going to jail.
Here's the twist. Boosie already told fans earlier this year that he was tired of fighting and ready to cut a plea before the feds scooped it up. He said he trusted God, but the stress was written all over him. And remember, this ain't new. The same charge got tossed back in 2023 when everyone thought Boosie was finally free to focus on music, family, and keeping low key. But the feds don't forget. By 2024, they spun the block, dug the case back up, and indicted him all over again. This time, the weight crushed him. Boosie folded, saying he was done wasting energy in court. On X, he admitted he felt like God don't make mistakes, and he was ready to accept whatever came. That post wasn't just words. You could feel the exhaustion pouring through every line. Fans who've been rocking with Boosie since his Baton Rouge come up know he's lived life on a razor's edge.
But the feds picked it up.
Now, it was a state case. The feds came, picked it up. They had a ruling in the Supreme Court that went in my favor, and the case got dropped by the judge. The case got...
Courtrooms, street beefs, even scary hospital runs. He's been dodging bullets, both literal and legal, for years. But this one feels different. 10 years ain't a slap on the wrist, it's a hammer. And the Boosie showing up on social media now, he ain't the fiery clapback king. He looks drained, beaten down, almost hollow, like the fight has finally left his body. Meanwhile, his mentions stay flooded with love, prayers, and desperate hope from fans who refuse to let go. Charleston White wasn't just talking, he was celebrating like it was New Year's Eve. He hopped on live, grinning ear to ear, bragging that he'd called this years ago and couldn't wait to toast Boosie's downfall.
I brought you up because you were attacking Kanye because of the...
Nah, it's Kanye West. It just happened. Nigga been coming at me. He been coming at me. It's just, you know, I can't respond to those people, bro. Like, that's a danger to what I got going on. Can't take no risk of losing this.
Then he went even colder, flat out saying he hoped Boosie would never make it back home. That's wild, even for Charleston. But that shock factor is exactly what keeps his name buzzing. What makes this even messier is the fact that Charleston's beef with Boosie didn't pop up overnight. This tension been simmering for years, and Charleston's always been in the shadows, waiting for Boosie to trip. Their drama really took off in late 2022, when Kanye West set the culture on fire with that infamous White Lives Matter shirt. Boosie was one of the first to call it out, saying it disrespected black folks. And most people agreed with him. But Charleston, he flipped the script completely. He hopped online tearing into Boosie just for speaking on Kanye, and from there it was straight war. And Charleston didn't just keep it on Boosie, he went way lower than anybody expected. He dragged Boosie's son Tootie Raw into it, even tossed King Harris, T.I.'s son, in the mix. He called them ugly, claimed they couldn't fight, and even predicted they'd both end up in jail one day. That's when people realized Charleston wasn't just another loudmouth chasing clout, he was aiming for the jugular, going after family to make it sting deeper. The streets couldn't believe it. Everyone was waiting for Boosie to blow up the way he usually does, but shockingly, he didn't. Instead of snapping, he played it cool. In an interview with Tony the Closer, Boosie explained that running his mouth too much could easily land him behind bars, especially when someone starts dragging kids into the dirt. Boosie knew better than to let Charleston bait him into saying something reckless, so he kept his cool, even though you could see that fire simmering right under the surface. That move showed a different side of Boosie. Not weak, not scared, just calculated. He understood Charleston's whole game was to make him explode, but he refused to give him the satisfaction. Still, everybody watching could feel the tension getting hotter by the day. By early 2023, things hit another level. Charleston was already clowning T.I. heavy over that so-called paperwork party, and that's when Boosie's son Tootie finally snapped. Tootie clapped back, calling Charleston old and messy, even telling him to go die. But Charleston being Charleston, you know he wasn't about to let that slide. He cranked it up to pure venom, going live saying, "I hope your daddy dies from that diabetes. I hope they forget to send him insulin 1 month." Who even says something that dark? That wasn't trolling anymore. That was hate aimed straight at Boosie through his own child. Then came the twist that made it sting even worse. Later that same month, Tootie actually got arrested on a gun charge. And the second the news broke, Charleston was right back online taking credit for it. He bragged about calling the police, sending in pictures, even tipping off the Department of Public Safety like he was proud to play snitch. And he didn't stop there. Charleston went further, accusing Boosie of being a 6-time killer who used kids to do his dirt. Wild accusations with no proof at all, but loud enough to stick in people's heads. That's when the feud crossed the line from internet clowning to real-life damage. Charleston wasn't just trolling anymore. He was actively trying to wreck Boosie's name and his kids' futures too. And just when it seemed like the chaos couldn't get any worse, 2023 came swinging again. Not even 3 months after Charleston dragged Tootie, Boosie himself got picked up in San Diego right after walking out of a courtroom. It felt like the system was just waiting for the perfect chance to drag Boosie back in, and Charleston turned it into his own comedy special. He hopped on Instagram Live, grinning and preaching like a fake pastor, saying Boosie's arrest was God's plan, even comparing him to Daniel in the lion's den, like prison was some divine punishment. The disrespect was next level. Some people thought he was just trolling, others swore he meant every word. But either way, Charleston flipped Boosie's pain into entertainment for his followers. That's his hustle, turning somebody else's downfall into his punchline. By summer, the trolling was so non-stop, Boosie couldn't keep silent anymore. He finally broke his silence on Vlad TV, and you could see the frustration all over him. Boosie admitted straight up that he didn't even want Vlad interviewing Charleston in the first place, especially after the filthy things Charleston said about Tootie. But Boosie also made one thing clear. He wasn't scared of Charleston. What he was doing was trying to stay free. That's been his mindset from the jump. Don't let anybody trick him into saying something that could add more years to his time. Still, even while Boosie played it cool, you could tell Charleston was living rent-free in his head. Every single time Boosie's name hit the blogs, Charleston was right there too, running his mouth and flipping the story into content. Then came early 2024, and their beef spilled into internet culture in the wildest way. Aiden Ross, one of the biggest streamers in the game, was supposed to bring Boosie onto his stream. That should have been massive. Boosie on Twitch with thousands watching. But here's the catch. Boosie backed out, not wanting his name tied up in Charleston's nonsense. Next thing you know, Aiden spun the story, going online claiming he was the one who turned Boosie down out of loyalty to Charleston White. That lie spread across social media like wildfire. People started clowning Boosie online, making it look like he got curved by a streamer, when in reality, he was just trying to dodge Charleston's shadow. The mess got so big that DJ Vlad himself had to step in. Vlad went off on Aiden, saying it was insane to side with someone like Charleston, a man who had literally praised Hitler and denied the Holocaust. That call out from Vlad showed just how dangerous Charleston's influence had become. He wasn't just some internet troll anymore. His name carried real weight. Streamers, rappers, even clout chasers were using him like a golden ticket for attention. Folks who had nothing to do with Boosie were inserting themselves into the drama just to get clicks off Charleston's name. That's how far his reach stretched. But Charleston wasn't done pouring gas on the fire. In March, he hopped back online, claiming Boosie was warning promoters not to book him. And of course, Charleston flipped it into a whole rant, saying Boosie was making threats and bragging that he'd already reached out to the feds. He was boasting like the FBI were his personal bodyguards, ready to drag Boosie away at his command. And to twist the knife deeper, he dragged Boosie's health back into the mess, mocking his diabetes and treating it like a punchline. That's Charleston's signature move. Go straight for the most personal wound and keep the spotlight on himself. This wasn't just noise either. Boosie admitted he was getting calls from people already locked up, asking him when he was going to join them. Picture that, sitting at home, already weighed down by a looming federal sentence, and now dudes in prison ringing you up like they're saving you a bunk. That's psychological warfare. Charleston knew exactly what he was doing. Piling on pressure, making Boosie feel like the cell door was already slamming shut before the trial even started. And here's the darker twist. Whispers started spreading that maybe Boosie himself didn't even want to go through a full trial at all. Boosie just wanted it all over with, and honestly, who could blame him? Imagine the nightmare of Charleston White showing up in court. If that man even got a chance to sit inside that courtroom, you already know he would have flipped it into a full-blown circus. He's the type to crack jokes at the jury, point fingers at Boosie, then walk right outside and brag to the blog, I helped put Boosie away. And that's not even far-fetched. That's Charleston's entire playbook. He's built his brand on bragging about calling cops, setting people up, and even flexing about testifying back in his teenage years. That piece of his past keeps coming back up. At just 14, Charleston was part of a robbery where another teen shot a man named Michael Levy. Instead of staying silent, Charleston testified against his co-defendant, Antoine Doolittle. In street culture, that's the ultimate betrayal, being branded a snitch. And even though he was just a kid, people never let him live it down. But Charleston, he doesn't duck it. He defends it. He says, I was young, I was in court, I told the truth. That's not snitching. That's survival recently. Footage from that juvenile case resurfaced, and the internet lit up again calling him a hypocrite. Folks blasted him. How can you clown rappers for being rats when you testified yourself? But Charleston doubled down. He snapped back that he never lived by the street code anyway, and he doesn't care who's mad about it. That's the thing about Charleston. He's untouchable in his own twisted way because he's not even playing by the same rules as everybody else. He'll clown you for being a rat while proudly waving his own paperwork in the air. That contradiction is what keeps people locked in, even if they hate every word out his mouth. So when you put it all together, the plea deal, Boosie's worn down energy, the non-stop rumors online, and Charleston's never-ending circus, it makes sense why Boosie just wanted to skip the trial and take the plea. He wasn't running from the law, he was running from the chaos Charleston was ready to drag into that courtroom. That's what makes this beef so much deeper than simple trolling. It's personal, it's toxic, and it's been turned into a stage show for the whole world to watch. It's personal, it's ugly, and it's eating away at Boosie's peace of mind. Right now, his whole world feels like it's hanging by a thread, and Charleston White is treating it like front row entertainment. The second word broke that Boosie was leaning toward a plea deal, Charleston jumped online louder than ever. To him, this wasn't just another rapper slipping up, this was karma, plain and simple. He went live bragging that everything he'd been saying for years had finally come true. All the trolling, all the insults, all the times he said Boosie would crash out, Charleston acted like this was his trophy moment, validation straight from the streets. He danced on Boosie's downfall like it was a parade, even saying flat out he'd been waiting and praying for this exact outcome. That's why his celebration cut so deep. Boosie hadn't even had time to fully process his own reality, and Charleston was already spinning it into a party. That alone showed this beef ain't about clout anymore, it's personal. Charleston's been locked in on Boosie since 2022, and every time something went wrong, he popped up to rub salt in the wound. From clowning Tootie's arrest, to mocking Boosie's health, to bragging about calling the feds every chance he got. It's like Charleston won't be satisfied until Boosie's completely out the picture. But here's the twist. Not everybody's laughing with him. The streets are split down the middle. Some people say Boosie brought this on himself, that after years of dodging charges, talking wild online, and living reckless, the feds catching up was inevitable. In their eyes, Charleston's just saying out loud what others already whispered. But then there's the other side, the ones who ride for Boosie no matter what. To them, he's a survivor, a man who's walked through fire and still kept pushing forward. And in their eyes, Charleston doesn't look like some truth teller. He looks like a bitter hater, obsessed with tearing another black man down just to keep his own name buzzing. That's the debate buzzing right now in barbershops, podcasts, and comment sections everywhere. One thing's for sure, if Charleston White is this loud while Boosie's still technically free, just imagine the circus if a judge actually slaps him with a 10-year sentence. Charleston would treat it like his own personal championship parade, hopping on every platform, live streaming, screaming, maybe even popping bottles just to rub it in. And knowing him, he wouldn't stop there. He'd keep digging, keep mocking, because Charleston thrives on other people's pain. The louder the reactions, the more energy he gets, and the cycle just feeds itself. Meanwhile, Boosie is out here trying to lean on faith, but you can feel the exhaustion in his words. His posts about trusting God don't sound like the cocky Boosie fans grew up with. They sound like a man bracing for the worst. When you got Charleston in your ear, the feds breathing down your neck, and the internet split between praying for you and laughing at you, it's almost impossible to find peace. This isn't just about prison time anymore. This is about legacy, about whether Boosie can survive this storm, or if Charleston's voice becomes the one echoing over his whole career. That's what makes this beef one of the wildest in hip-hop right now. It's not about records, it's not about street corners, it's not even about money. It's about humiliation. Charleston White made it his personal mission to publicly embarrass Boosie at every step. And now, with the possibility of a decade behind bars, Charleston is strutting like he's the king of the internet. But here's the twist. If Boosie really does get locked up, Charleston's celebration could backfire. Why? Because prison has been a strange reset button for rappers before. Plenty of artists walked out bigger than they went in. And if Boosie comes home in 10 years sharper, stronger, with that survivor story stamped on his name, Charleston's mockery might not age well at all. For now, it's a waiting game. Boosie's plea deal is hanging in the air, the streets are buzzing, and Charleston is circling like a vulture, ready to feast on whatever's left of Boosie's reputation. But this ain't just another headline. This is the kind of story that tests loyalty, exposes fake friends, and shows exactly who's rooting for your downfall. And no matter what side you stand on, one thing's clear. The spotlight has never burned hotter, and the outcome is about to shake hip-hop for years to come. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share to stay in the loop with all the latest tea. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an update, and I'll catch you in the next video.